ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। यन्नित्यमानन्दमनन्तमेकं शिवेति नाम्ना श्रुतयो गृह्णन्ति तस्यावतारो नररूपधारी कृपासुधाब्धि भुवि रामकृष्णः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोः श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईशावास्यम् इदगुं सर्वं यत्किञ्चित् जगत्यां जगत्. This mantra comes in Ishavasya Upanishad. Here we have the vision of Vedanta and the commandment of Vedanta for a person who wants to be free from insecurity, fear and anxiety. In the vision of Vedanta, idagum sarvam is equal to Ishvaraha. Idagam sarvam means this creation, which consists of Bhoktru Prapancha, microcosm, an individual living being, and Bhogya Prapancha, macrocosm, the total. All that is here is sacred. Idagam sarvam is equal to Ishvaraha. Vedanta wants us to discover this fact thoroughly. That's why it says Isha Vasyam, Ishvara Buddhya Achadaniyam. One has to find out this fact. Ignorance of this fact will lead to sense of isolation, that I am separate from the total. Being isolated, naturally my life will be one against total, one versus total. One versus total means I am most insignificant person in this creation, and this creation is very vast, powerful and huge. Therefore my life will be always it will be a life of insecurity, fear and anxiety. Therefore Vedanta says, if anyone wants to be free from insecurity, fear and anxiety, one has to find out this fact that all that is here is nothing but sacred, is nothing but Bhagavan. Entire Indian culture is based on this particular fact. It's a unique culture, a culture based on Vedantic revelations. In this culture we find people worship milestone. In spite of others ridiculing that, but still we continue to worship milestone. We continue to worship snakes. We continue to worship trees, mountains. Anything and everything is an object of worship for a person who is born and brought up in this Vedic culture, which is nothing but Indian culture. A person who is born and brought up has a vague appreciation that everything is sacred, everything deserves my respect, everything is an object of my worship. The method may vary. Towards something I may convey my worshipful attitude by throwing flowers. Towards something I may convey my worshipful attitude by giving some charity. The method may vary, but the attitude that the person who is in front of me or the object which is in front of me is an object of worship because it is sacred, because it is nothing but God. There is an osmotic appreciation in everybody's mind. Whether the person is born as Christian, if he is grown up in this Indian culture, he also has an osmotic appreciation. Even the so-called secularist government does puja, bhumi puja, before constructing any building. The person who may be professing Christianity or Islam, still if he is a driver, before starting the vehicle, what he does? What he does? He does namaskara to that vehicle. He touches that steering and he says, either he puts cross or he says some Lord's name. This idea you can never find in any culture's day-to-day life. Only in Indian culture this idea is there, that the object which I am using, that also deserves my respect. There is a father who professed that he is atheist, so he has put a board also. God is nowhere. My Acharya Swamiji used to tell this beautifully. God is nowhere. He has put board to profess, to declare to the society that I am atheist. His son, a child learning alphabet, wants to show its knowledge that I have learned alphabets, English alphabets. So he asked, Dad, can I read this board? Yes. Read. G-O-D, God. I-S, is. N-O-W, now. H-E-R-E, here. Nobody has taught this child. You see? Father has written because of his indoctrination, because of his prejudices. Even though he has declared that he is an atheist, God is nowhere, but the child who is born to that so-called atheistic father, the child reads without any prejudices, G-O-D means God. I-S means is. God is. Bhagavan is there. Is there any doubt? Where he is? N-O-W, now. H-E-R-E, here. So this is the osmotic appreciation for a person who is born in this land. And a person, if he doesn't understand the philosophy behind this osmotic appreciation, he will have a lot of conflicts with this society. If you take Hindu society, it will have festivals after festivals. For everything and anything there will be festival. They will worship snake, they call it a Naga Puja festival. They will worship what you call tree, Ashwatha. All mothers who don't have children, they will go and pray to that Ashwatha Vriksha. Even though they go to the doctor and take medicine, but still, here also they will put their application. If you go to North India, everywhere Ashwatha Vriksha will be full of cradles, asking for children. So if you don't understand the philosophy behind this, then you will have conflict. You will unnecessarily isolate yourself from the social living. And you'll say, what these fellows, anything and everything they celebrate. Whole year is full of celebration. So therefore, Shastra wants us to understand the fact that everything is sacred, everything deserves worship. A person who understands this fact is called a true Hindu or a real Hindu. For a real Hindu, Panchabhutas are sacred. Akasha, if you take Akasha, Akasha is sacred. And Akasha is literally worshipped. Ritualistically also, in our day-to-day life also. If you go to Chidambaram, there Bhagavan is worshipped as Akasha, Chidambara Rahasya they call it. All the time our eyes are habituated to see a particular form and invoke the presence of the Lord. There you find that you invoke the presence of the Lord in a unseen Akasha. Akasha cannot be seen. Space cannot be seen by sense organs. So if you ask what is the reason, he will tell, a true Hindu will tell, without Akasha, I cannot even exist. Because it gives me space for my existence. Akasha gives me space. That is why it is called Akashaha. It gives me space. You are traveling in a bus, no space, no seat is there to sit. Somebody gives you seat. What you will tell? Thank you, you will tell. That's the same attitude that for 5-minute travel or 1 hour travel, if I can thank you, why can't I thank the Lord who gave me whole life existence? So without Akasha, my existence is in trouble. Then he worships Vayu, next element. He worships Vayu and he says, "Oh Lord, Vayu Bhagavan, I worship you. I don't know what is the real nature of Bhagavan, but I can know that you are in the form of Vayu also. Tvameva pratyaksham brahmasi," he says. Namaste Vayu, Tvameva pratyaksham brahmasi, Tvameva pratyaksham brahma vadishyami. You are pratyaksham brahma, pratyaksha Ishwaraha. Because without your presence in my life, people will dispose of me. If you refuse to live inside my body, people will dispose of me. This body, which is an object of garlanding, which receives the address sir or madam, will be addressed as what? Take this dead body. So therefore, my existence in this creation is due to your presence. Therefore, to you, my namaskara. Then third element, Agnihi. Without Agni, external Agni and inside Agni, internal Agni, our life is impossible. Inside our stomach there is a Jathara Agnihi, they call it. Outside, in the form of fire, in the form of sun, in the form of moon, reflected Agnihi. So without the principle called Agni, my life is impossible. Therefore, O Lord, I worship you. That's why Surya Devata is called Surya Narayanaha, Pratyaksha Devata. Then comes Jalam, water. A Hindu says, water is nothing but an object of my worship. That is why even when he takes bath daily in the morning, and he invokes that Lord. He invokes that Lord in the form of sacred waters. Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Narmade Saraswati Sindhu Kaveri Jale asmin jale sannidhim kuru. Asmin bucket jale sannidhim kuru. Because even though I am not able to go and take bath in Ganga or Yamuna or Saraswati or Sindhu, still, you can come and sanctify this bucket water. Therefore, O Lord, you please manifest in this form. Then if you take Prithvi, all the mountains are sacred. The very first mantra after getting up from the sleep, before putting down your leg on the earth, a Hindu has to chant this prayer. Samudra Vasane Devi, Parvatasthana Mandale, Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam, Padasparsham Kshamaswame. O Mother Prithvi, please forgive me because I am going to stamp upon you. You are associated with Bhagavan, you are the object of my worship, you are sacred, but still I cannot avoid stamping on you. Therefore, like a mother forgives the child, similarly you also should forgive me. What an attitude, you see. So none of the 5 elements in the creation is an object of our disgrace or disrespect. And for a Hindu, not only Pancha Bhutas, Pancha Bhautika Deha also is an object of worship. Out of 5 elements, physical bodies come. Therefore only it is called Pancha Bhautika Sharira. Every Sharira is an object of worship. That's why Deho Devalaya Proktaha Jiva Brahma Sanatanaha. Every body, whether it is human body or animal body or a plant body or aquatic creature's body or bird's body, whatever it may be, every body or everybody is an object of my worship. That's why you can see in our mythological stories, birds are involved. They talk with Bhagavan. Jadayu comes and helps Bhagavan. And animals are involved, monkeys are involved. So in our life, these are all what? It may appear to be a mythological story or thing, but behind this mythological story, behind this story, there is a philosophy that your life, human life, cannot be isolated from any of these things in the creation. As even you isolate yourself from any of these things in the creation, whether it is animate or inanimate, whether it is 5 elements or elementals, your life will be a life of danger. In modern language you can say ecological danger, eco-crisis. Crisis means what? Danger. Because of the lack of the attitude, because of the lack of the respect towards this creation, human mind started squandering and squandering and squandering, misusing the natural resources. Now everybody says very existence of humanity will be impossible unless you revert back to a respectful mode. That's why in those days, if a person has to cut one tree, he has to plant at least 100 trees. However much necessary, that much only is taken from the creation. Now what happens? Consumerist culture, consumerist philosophy, consume, consume, consume. In the process of consuming, the person himself is consumed. That which is eaten is called food. That which eats also is called food. A person waiting for bus in the bus stand, and he finds that bus is going to come late. This side, that side, he turns back and he sees a sweet stall, beautiful sweet stall. And the jangri is calling him, come, come, take me, take me. Then he goes there, purchases some quantity of jangri and eats. Being a householder, he is remembered of his parents and children and spouse. So naturally he purchases for them also and goes and gives to them. They also enjoyed. The next day when he is going to go to office, children say, Papa, yesterday you brought that jangri, very beautiful. Adayar Ananda Bhavan jangri, very nice, please bring it. So yesterday he purchased for himself, today for the sake of children he purchases. Next day for the sake of mother. Next day for the sake of spouse. Like that goes on daily, purchasing, 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 eating the sweet. Atti. He eats the sweet. What happens? As even he is eating the sweet, sweet also is eating him. Doctors find out you are now diabetic. You are eaten as much as necessary. If that much only you eat, then it becomes your source of happiness. Otherwise, same creation becomes the source of problem and insecurity. Therefore, for a Hindu who is born and brought up in this culture, who has understood the philosophy behind this culture, for him all the 5 elements and elementals, living beings, are object of worship. They are sacred. And another thing is, very Kala Tattva is an object of worship for him. No other culture can imagine even to worship the Kala Tattva. Kala Tattva means what? That which is going to swallow everything. That which has leveled all the empires. That which has destroyed all the emperors. And that is going to take all the dear things from us, all the dear ones from us. That Kala Tattva is respected in this culture only. For a Hindu, this Tattva, this principle is an object of worship. Mrityu Devata he is called. And Mrityu Devata is worshipped how? In 3 aspects in our culture. You can remember that in our culture there will be Trinity, Holy Trinity they call. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, Rudra. Brahma is the head of the department of manufacturing, birth. Vishnu is the head of the department of sustenance, and Rudra is the head of the department of resolution. Any one head of the department you invoke, any one aspect you invoke, other two aspects come. Suppose you invoke Brahmaji. When you invoke Brahmaji, you invoke what? Birth. Birth means naturally sustenance is involved, then again resolution is involved. That's what our Acharya Swamiji used to say beautifully. Born is gone. Born means Brahma, is means existing, that is sustenance, gone means Rudra. Born is gone. Born is gone, born, then gone, born is. So, any aspect you invoke, other two aspects come. Suppose you imagine, I don't want Rudra. In my life, I don't want Rudra. I want to continue as it is. I want to continue. Sustenance should be continued as it is. How sustenance will be continued? Suppose a mother says, my child should be Mrityunjayaha. Rudra should not come in my life, in my child's life. So naturally, the fetus itself will not grow. Because one aspect of the Kala Tattva is stopped, means what? There is no growth at all. So child itself will not born. So you cannot avoid the presence of one thing when you invoke the presence of other two factors. So therefore, Shastra says, one has to understand this Kala Tattvam also. One who doesn't recognize this fact will have fear, because Kala Tattva is sacred. Then only I will not have fear. Then only I will welcome the operation of Kala Tattva. Without the operation of Kala Tattva, neither the growth is possible nor the birth is possible. Therefore, one should appreciate. If a person doesn't appreciate, if a person doesn't recognize the sacredness of this Kala Tattva, Shastra says, even if Bhagavan stands in front of him, he will not be free from fear and anxiety. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan shows his Vishwarupa Darshana to Arjuna. Arjuna's attention goes towards Brahmaji, that many people are coming out of the Lord. Then smiling Vishnu. So all the things, whatever necessary for the living beings is given and sustenance is maintained. Then finally, when his attention goes towards the Rudra, he is afraid of. He is afraid of. And he sees that Bhagavan in the form of Rudra, he is taking everything inside his mouth, and it seems he was munching. Damshra Karalani Bhayanakani Churnidair Uttamangai. Arjuna says, you are munching, you are making powder. All the heads you are crushing like that. It seems while crushing, Lelihyase Grasamana Samantat. While crushing from a machine, any crushing machine, some object will just, it will get away. Na? So like that, when Bhagavan was crushing the heads of the living beings, it seems some heads are going out. Suddenly Bhagavan stretches out his leg like a lizard, and he stretches out and takes back and put inside, it seems. Seeing that vision, Arjuna was very much afraid of. Just 5 minutes before he told, oh Lord, you are beautiful, Shantakaram, Bhujagashayanam, Padmanabham, Suresham, Akara, Shanta, Akara. Now you are in the form of what you call Rudra. Therefore he says, Akyahi me ko bhavan ugra rupo, namostute deva vara prasite, Vijñātumiccāmi bhavantamadhyam nahi prajanami tava pravrittim. So far I thought you are a beautiful, pleasant and ever smiling, ever blessing Lord. Now I find that Ugra Rupaha Lord. So who you are really in reality, please tell. Then Bhagavan says, Kalosmi loka kshayakrit pravruddhaha lokan samahartumiha pravruddhaha. I am Kalaha, I am Kala Tattva. Therefore, for a real Hindu, Kala Tattvam becomes an object of worship. Panchabhutas, Pancha Bhautika Shariras, now Kala Tattvam also is Ishvaraha, sacred. With this attitude, his life will be a life of harmony. A life of harmony with the natural resources, a life of harmony with the other living beings. So he will not exploit any of those things. Whatever necessary, that much only he will take. As even he is consuming, he will contribute to the resources and he will get away from the very physical existence. He will never compete with the nature. Competing with the nature is not at all our attitude. Competition is never taught in our Vedic culture. Not only with nature, with any other thing in the creation, competition is never taught. But in modern world, you can see even a person climbs the Everest. After climbing the Everest, how they put? He conquered the Everest. Hey, you climbed the Everest, that's all. Where is the question of conquering? See, the words how they use, you see, he conquered the Everest. What he conquered the Everest? He cannot bring one small pebble from the Everest, because from there you have to get down, means with pebble means it will be huge weight. Even 1 kilogram weight will be huge weight. You cannot bring one small pebble from that Everest, and this fellow is appreciated as, you can say that he has climbed the Everest, but he can never be appreciated as he has conquered the Everest. You can never conquer this creation. You can live harmoniously with this creation. That is the attitude of Vedic culture. And in human society, for a Hindu, every human being is an object of worship. He deserves respect. That's why Veda says, Matrudevo bhava, Pitrudevo bhava, Acharya devo bhava, Achiti devo bhava. Entire humanity is divided into 4 segments. Mata, Pita. Who is Mata? One who gave birth to you. Varieties of mothers are there. One who has given physical birth, one who has given knowledge birth. Like that, varieties of birth is there for a individual. And Pita, one who gives you sustenance, is called Pita. Physical sustenance, emotional sustenance, and intellectual sustenance. And Acharyaha, one who teaches you this great vision. And all the other people in our life becomes Athitis, correct? Guests. All of them become guests. So towards them, what should be your attitude? Devaha bhava. They should be your object of worship. Not only people are object of worship, pursuit in human life also is an object of worship. Human pursuits can be divided into two types of pursuits. One is pursuit of acquiring things, another is pursuit of knowledge. Pursuit of acquiring things is called sampat, wealth. Pursuit of acquiring means you acquire varieties of wealth. And wealth is revered as, in our culture, wealth is revered as what? Lakshmi, Ashta Lakshmi. A person wants money, physical wealth, it is called Dhana Lakshmi. Then Dhanya Lakshmi, food. Then Vijaya Lakshmi, success in his life. Virya Lakshmi, power to have that success. Then Vara Lakshmi, a spouse with whom I can share my life. Vara Lakshmi. And Santana Lakshmi, children to whom I can hand over this Vedic vision. And Aishwarya Lakshmi, finally Vairagya Lakshmi. If a person has Dhana Lakshmi with him, he is called rich. If a person has Dhanya Lakshmi, good food, he is called healthy person. If a person has Vijaya Lakshmi, he is victorious. Virya Lakshmi is there, means you are powerful. Vara Lakshmi is there, means you become Narayana. Because one who has married Lakshmi is called Narayana. There are self-made Narayana or marriage-made Narayanas. Varieties of Narayanas are there. Even if you are not self-made Narayana, even if you are not father-made Narayana, at least try to be wife-made Narayana, Lakshmi-made Narayana, Vara Lakshmi. Then when Santana Lakshmi is there, you have the status called father. So every pursuit in our life becomes a sacred pursuit. Finally, all the pursuits are temporary. This understanding also is sacred. Vairagya Lakshmi. Therefore, Vidya also is sacred in our culture. Vidya itself is divided into two types of Vidya. Aparavidya, Paravidya. Aparavidya, that which helps you to live harmoniously and peacefully in your physical existence, in your life, physical life, and emotional life and intellectual life is called Aparavidya. Paravidya is something, that knowledge by which you understand that you are the sustenance of entire creation. So both of them are sacred. That is why my Acharya Swamiji used to say, that is why any person who is born in this country will not step upon any book, even if it is a Indian history book. Even if it is an Indian history book which is full of lies, which is full of notions, which is full of errors, even if that is Indian history book, even if it doesn't deserve any reading, but still, because it is written by others. So many people have written without understanding what is the culture, what is the philosophy behind this history. People have written Indian history. Even if that Indian history book is there, you will not step upon. Even if a person is a millionaire, he will not step upon 5 rupee note. He will not put 5 rupee note under his boots. Why? Because for him, whether it is wealth or whether it is knowledge, all of them are sacred. Now the question may come, how can everything in the creation be sacred? There must be something secular also. How can every form in the creation can be sacred? Is it not idolatry? Is it not idol worship to worship the every form in the creation? Shastra says, worshipping every form in the creation is not idolatry, is not worship of idols, but it is knowledge. It is knowledge that everything, idagam sarvam, is equal to Ishvaraha. Bhagavan Krishna says in Gita, Mattah parataram nanyate kinjidasti dhananjaya. Other than me, nothing is there. One who has understood this teaching worships the Lord through every form. And actually, we don't worship form at all. We worship the formless through the form. Because the formless thing cannot be worshipped at all. A worship is a transaction. It requires a time, a place, an altar. How can you worship a concept? How can you worship something which doesn't have any form at all? So for any transaction, you require a form. Suppose worshipping the nation, showing the reverence to the nation. How it is shown? How it is shown? The reverence to the nation is shown to flag, national flag. People cannot say, hey, you are saluting the cloth. No, I don't salute the cloth. I salute my nation through this form called cloth. How can you connect this cloth and the nation? That's how our elders have connected it. If you say, I will not accept, flag is equal to nation, I will desecrate this flag, you try. Keeping a media wala in front of you, you try to burn the national flag. Law will come and give you punishment because it is already connected. Already connected. It is already connected. What is connected? The relationship between the formless and the form. By transacting with the form, you transact with the formless entity. How to transact with the space? How to transact with the space? You transact with the space by raising 4 walls. Then it becomes room space. By creating a form, you transact with the formless. Therefore, Shastra says, Hindu never worships any idol. He worships the formless Lord through the idol. What is the proof that we don't worship idol? Every celebration is the proof. Every puja is the proof. Ganesha puja is there. We bring Ganesha and put him on the altar, nicely decorate and give him lot of laddus and other thing. 3 days, lot of worship is done. Then finally after 3 days, what we do? We take that Ganesha. Suppose Ganesha says, hey, last 3 days you were nicely treating me. Now where you are taking? You don't know. We are taking you to drown in the Kuvam river. Kuvam river. Hey, Ganga water you did Abhisheka. Now you are going to put me in Kuvam river. In a gutter water you are going to put me. Then you will say what? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu Bhagavan. You only told whatever has come into existence has to go away. You have fulfilled your utility. 3 days only I can keep you. I cannot keep you all the time, all the while in my life. So 3 days only. Your utility is over. Through this form, I have worshipped you. Now you should not hang over to this form. When you say to me, don't hang over to this physical body, I say to you, O Lord, don't hang over to this physical form. Correct? So the very fact, every Hindu is happy. Do we cry when we take Ganesha? When we take Ganesha to drown inside the gutter water, do we cry? What we do? With all trumpets, tara, tapata, drums and trumpets and dances and so many, gestures of happiness. For what? To drown the Lord. Can any other religion, can any other culture even imagine to drown their object of worship? Imagine. Can anyone take a cross and try to drown? Now you tell, who worships form? Do Hindu worships form or others worship form? Hindu never worships form. That is why form is not a factor for him at all. As long as there is a worship ritual, there is a transaction, he happily uses that form, but he never worships the form. That is the fact that he can happily drown that form. Understand? Therefore Shastra says, humanity requires form in order to transact with the formless. You cannot transact with the formless. Why? Because it is formless. With formless you can never transact. All transactions are between one form to another form. Keeping yourself as form, you can never transact with the formless. Therefore you require form. How many forms you want? How many forms you want? Entire creation is form. Pancha Bhutas are form. Akasha, Agni, Prithvi, Sagara, everything is form. Whatever you come across in your life is form. If you are bored with these things, same thing, and I have special forms. Rama, Krishna. And still if you are bored with, I have a beautiful form in the form of your own mother, your own father, your own teacher. So therefore, Shastra says, one has to find out this philosophy behind this, all types of transactions in our culture. That's why even mothers can create Bhagavan within 1 minute, that too from kitchen itself. That masala dabba, in masala dabba they will have that haridra powder, that is turmeric powder. If somebody has forgotten to bring Ganesha for Ganesha puja, what they will do? Or if Ganesha idol is so costly, what they will do, our mothers? Oh, don't worry, I will take one lump of a 50 gram of turmeric powder. Same turmeric powder which was, Acharya Swamiji used to say, from the same box, same turmeric powder which was used yesterday evening for sambar. From that turmeric powder, she takes and adds with water and she makes a lump and says, this is Ganesha. And he says, Asmin Haridra Bimbe Sannidhim Kuru. She orders, O Lord, come here and manifest. You cannot say, I will not come. I will come only in decorated Ganesha form. I will come only in decorated and silk sarried Durga form only. I will not come this kitchen turmeric powder. I will not come. You cannot say. Being Sarvagataha, you should come to me. So Asmin Bimbe Sannidhim Kuru. Then he does Sannidhi. Then that mother does all puja. Then puja is over means what? Yatasthanam gachat. Poi vango. She says, Yatasthanam gachyat. From where you have come, to that place you go back. That means what? That farm loses the sanctity, and she takes that lump of turmeric powder, intelligently she uses for next day sambar. Because offered turmeric powder, it will be what? Sanctified food. So used for sambar. So Hindu orders Bhagavan, come here, sannidhim kuru, go back. This is the freedom given to every worshipper in our Indian culture. Therefore, Hindu, he can never be called as an idolater. He is a most knowledgeable person. If a person worships milestone, he should not be condemned. He should be asked, hey, what makes you to worship milestone? What makes you to respect this milestone? What makes you to respect this broomstick? In Mother Sharada Devi's life, we find somebody having broom, somebody just threw away the broomstick. Mother Sharada Devi says, no, don't throw it. It is a member of this family. What makes you to give the status of membership status to an inert broomstick? That should be asked, that should be studied, that should be assimilated, and that should be made in our life. So therefore, Shastra says, without assimilating this idea in your life will be what? A life of isolation. Isolation from the total, isolation from the Creator. Then a question comes. When we invoke the Lord's presence in a small idol, small Aridra Bimba, turmeric idol, is it complete presence or partial presence? Huge idol, huge presence. Small idol, small presence. Is it so? Shastra says no, it is complete. In order to invoke the presence of a person, invoke the attention of the person, what you have to do? Suppose you are trying to invoke an attention of a person who is sitting next to you. How you do? Just you touch his little finger. So as even his little finger is touched, his attention is invoked. How much attention is invoked? Little finger size attention or complete attention? It is complete attention. If it is little finger size attention, then what you have to do? To invoke his full attention, you have to embrace him. You have to hug him. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna used to say that in order to have Ganga Snana, in order to have a holy bath in Ganga, a person need not swim from Gangotri to Ganga Sagar. You go nearby, a small rivulet will be there, a small canal will be there. There also you can go and touch the Ganga water and say, you can say what? I have done Ganga Snana. If a person says, I have done Samudra Snana, that means what? Did he swim whole ocean? No. What is invoked is infinite. In what it is invoked is finite. Form is finite. What is invoked is infinite. Therefore, Shastra says, Ishwaraha being Sarvagataha, he cannot say, I will not come to your object of worship. He cannot say. This idea is not understood by other cultures, especially Semitic cultures, Semitic religious cultures. Even though they also worship God through form only. A Christian worships God through form only, through cross only. So he respects one particular form and he transacts with the Lord with one particular form, and at the same time he denounces all other forms are as demonic forms. You take Islam. They also have form in the form of direction. They cannot pray seeing Kailash. They have to pray towards the Mecca only, whichever direction Mecca is there, from their position, that direction is a form. So therefore, even though they worship through form, they claim that we are worshipping only formless. They have misunderstood this great Indian Vedic culture. Therefore, how many temples, how many forms are destroyed how many forms are still destroyed now also? Shastra says, you cannot you cannot desecrate any form in the creation, because all forms are Bhagavan's form. Ishvaraha being Sarvagataha, he cannot isolate himself from anything. Therefore, he can present in anything, in whatever way you want. Being Sarvajnaha, he cannot say, I don't understand your Arabic language. I don't understand your Sanskrit language. I don't understand your tribal mode of worship. I don't understand your Tamil language. He cannot say that. For many people, religious people in Islam, you cannot pray in English. You try. You have to pray in only Arabic. According to them, Bhagavan knows only Arabic language. He is linguistically ignorant. Who? Sarvajnaha Ishvara. These are all problems in theology. It's all problems in theology. Theology means in the understanding of the human mind. That's called theology. The sacred books doesn't say that. But the understanding, the people who have understood have misunderstood that. Therefore, what they have become? They become the threat to the society, threat to the humanity. They have divided the humanity as believers and non-believers, faithful and pagans, infidels. Indian culture asks, how can you divide humanity? How can you divide this creation? And at the same time, how can you hope to be happy? Having created an enemy, and you hope to be happy in this situation. How is it? Having created an enemy, how can you be secure? How can you be fulfilled? Therefore, Shastra says, every altar is an altar of respect. A person can choose. That is his liberty. He can choose to worship the Lord in any form. Even if he says, I don't believe in God, but I want to be dharmic. Shastra says, dharma is the form of the Lord. Moral order. Moral order is the another form of the Lord. In fact, it is the higher order of the Lord. Better form of the Lord. Therefore, one should understand that everything is sacred. In any form, a person can worship the Lord. In any language, a person can worship the Lord. In any mode, a person worship the Lord. Bhagavan doesn't have any confusion. He doesn't say, you are Hindu, therefore I will accept. You are Muslim, therefore I will not accept. He doesn't say. That's what Bhagavan says in our Gita. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. You invoke me in the form of hunger, I will come to you in the form of food. Dhanya Lakshmi. You invoke me in the form of a rich person, I will come to you as Dhana Lakshmi. As a powerful person, I will come as Virya Lakshmi, Vijaya Lakshmi. In whatever way you invoke, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. Then in another place he says, yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadamyaham. Even though he gives application to Sanishwara Bhagavan, who passes the application? I the Ishvaraha, not Shanishwaraha. Shanishwaraha is my peon, Devata, department head, that's all. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhaya architam ichchati. He has faith in, unfortunately, he has faith only in Shanishwara, not in Ishvara. You can see that. In temple, crowded place will be this Navagraha place only. Ishvara Sannidhana, that Garbhagriha, nobody will be there. The people will be here only crowded. Bhagavan says, whether you stand there or you stand here, application is sanctioned from one source only. Tameva vidadamyaham sachayat shraddhaya yuktaha tasyaradana mihate labate tatak kaman mayaiva vihitanitan. Whether he gets the desires fulfilled through any form, all are from one source. Therefore, Sri Ramakrishna says, Jetomat Tathopat. All forms are valid forms. All forms of worships are valid worship. All forms of prayers are valid and useful. Our Acharya Swamiji used to tell a joke in this place. An ordinary person can understand varieties of calls. Suppose a person name is S. Subramaniam. Teacher calls him S. Subramaniam. His colleague calls him SS. His child calls him Papa. His employer calls him Mr. S. Subramaniam. And mother calls him Subbu. Wife calls him separate calling it is. Traditional wife cannot utter the husband's name. Cannot utter the husband's name. Ennango. This Ennango is addressed to whom? Subramaniam. If Subramaniam can respond to such calls and cat calls, if he Alpagnaha, Alpagataha, Subramaniam can respond to such calls and cat calls, why can't Sarvagnaha, Sarvagataha, Bhagavan? Why can't? So therefore, one should understand that anything I come across in my life is object of my worship. They are sacred. That's why when many say there is no God, when some say there is many gods, still some say there is one God and my God is the only God. Vedanta says there is God only. There is God only. Nothing else. You can never know anything other than Him. Being separated from Him, you can never recognize anything in this creation, including your own existence. Everything in the creation is object of respect, object of worship. Therefore, all that is here is sacred. We should all pray to the Lord that I should get this knowledge. In the presence of this knowledge, where I can be away from the Lord? How can I be away from the Lord? If I understand that every moment of my life, including the all-devouring Kala Tattva, is nothing but the manifestation of the Lord. Pancha Bhutas are nothing but the manifestation of the Lord. Pancha Bhautika Shariras are nothing but the manifestation of the Lord. And my pursuits, Vidya and Sampat, all are nothing but the manifestations of the Lord. And the instruments which are used in my life are nothing but manifestation of the Lord. Where is the question of I am isolated from the Lord? When I have recognized that I am always with Him, where is the question of insecurity, fear and anxiety? Therefore, we should pray to the Lord through worshipping Him with a particular form initially and ultimately recognizing Him in all forms, especially Virat form is our prayer. With this prayer, we complete this satsanga. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsad. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.